How is it going, everyone? Welcome to the Division 1 stream. I am not James, as you can probably already tell. I'm J. Cole. I normally commentate on the Division 3 stream, but unfortunately James couldn't make it tonight just due to him being, something wrong with his tonsils. So hopefully, James, you get better soon. But for now, before we do get into it, we will just go through the hot lap of the Japanese Grand Prix, which is done by the D3 man, the Aussie of D3, Big W. And there you have it. That is the lap of Japan. Thank you, Big W, for sending that in. If you guys do want to make sure that you want to get featured on the LOE channel for clips like that, then make you send them over to myself. I'll put them in the highlights in the Discord channel. Now, on to quali. Let's have a look at how it's going so far. Cantera, I think, is the first one out on a lap, so we'll stick on board with the Spaniard in the Renault. Going through the tight and twisty S section. By the way, Jerry has said in the chat that it should be all dry, so that is a good sign to start off with. Also, just a little bit of a plug as well, if you guys want to, Division 3 is currently going on at the moment in Japan as well. It'd be weird if it was a different track. So I said, if you guys want to, make sure you go over there and tune into that. I'm just going to put it in Discord that we are live. But Montana has so far gone the fastest, doing a 27.4. Good lap from our current championship leader. Cantera looks like he's getting a bit of a slipstream off of his teammate from June. Bit of a tactical one, that one. So will Cantera get a better time than what Montana has already done on the first lap? That is a pretty good banker lap, to say the least. Here we go, Cantera coming down the final corner. Is it going to be better? No, it isn't. He does a 27.9, so good going from the Spaniard. And the other Spaniard is, I think, actually just starting his lap now. But we'll go on board with, I think Harry's just coming around the final corner now as well, and someone's just up ahead of him. But Harry does a 28.3. I know definitely we want to do a better time than that for sure. New Waluigi now coming around the final chicane. What will he end up doing? Game Boys has done a 31.8, but I know you want to do better than that. Neo's actually done a 28.1 on the mediums. New Waluigi does a 29.3. Again, I know he'll definitely want to improve upon that time, so we'll have to keep an eye on him and Harry. Both, ironically, were ex-teammates, and seeing how they will do on improving throughout the quali session. Meanwhile, Larkin coming around the final chicane now, coming down the hill of the final corner. Where does he end up going? into P6. He goes up ahead of Jarry and Game Boys, actually. So good going from the Racing Point driver, who's, I think, yeah, so both the Racing Points have actually in 3rd and 6th, both going on the mediums at the moment. So good laps from the pair of them. Meanwhile, the Spaniard in the Renault, or one of the Spaniards in the Renault of Doom, we'll see how he gets on in qualifying. It says here he's on 1:20 at the moment, so I think he's not on a lap. Yeah, he's not on a lap, so we'll disregard Doom's one. Just checking in the chat, Bullet Boy saying that he's stuck on a setup. Oh, he's stuck on picking a setup. Just go with whatever works for you. Got Montana in the chat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Jarry in the chat as well. As I said, he was saying that it should be all dry. So that's good because I have to get to D2 as soon as this race is done. As June makes his way into the pits. Who else have we got on a lap? Larkin, Jarry, I think, is going for another lap. No, he's making his way into the pit. Larkin not on a lap. I think everyone's just coming back in. So I think Killer Blue is actually carrying on with his lap. So we'll keep an eye on him as he slides into the pit. Somehow didn't lose a wheel. That was impressive. Bit of Tokyo Drift into the pit. Not the way I'd want to do it, but I mean, there's a reason why I'm in D2 and you're in D1. For now, we've just got a couple other guys on their out laps. I think Larkin actually did go. Oh, Larkin's actually going for another lap. So we'll have to keep an eye out on him, see what he does on his lap. The only guys that haven't set their lap so far are Sterling, Killer Blue, Daka, Tam, Dan, whatever you want to call him, Bullet Boy, and Doom. So again, Bullet Boy is also just starting his lap on the set of the mediums as well. We'll stick on board with the Alfa Romeo driver, who, must I say, has actually improved quite a bit. So good going to the man in the Alfa. I have got James in the chat as well. Evening, James. Weird to be watching you from the other side, but I'm glad to be here. Should be back next week. I have bad man flu. Hopefully you get. Hopefully you have a quick recovery, man. Hope to see you back here next week. But both the Alphas are now on a lap. One on a set of the mediums, one on a set of the softs. We also have the other Mercedes of Daka on the softs as well. But there are yellows. Was that Larkin going off? Doesn't look like it. But is Larkin up on his time though? Because he's about to run out of ERS. He's actually about 4, maybe 5 tenths up on his time. So we'll stick with the Racing Point driver if he ends up coming into the pits, or if he ends up actually carrying on with his lap. Coming around the final chicane now. They've got a good exit coming out of there. Coming down the hill now. Still not using as much ERS because he's about to run out. He does improve and goes up into 5th ahead of New Waluigi doing a 29.2. Good lap once again from the Racing Point. There are only 14 runners today. Cookie has actually just joined in halfway through qualifying. I think he had something, issues with PSN, so that's why he is late into the session. But someone's just gone even quicker. I think that was Bullet Boy. Bullet Boy did end up going up there, and Daka has actually gone into P2, doing a 27.7. So good going from him. Sterling has actually made his way back into the pits, so did not carry on with his lap. So may have ended up invalidating that lap of his. Stick on board with Harry as he's just come across the line. Coming up towards turn 1. You want to be as aggressive as you can coming in towards it. And has done exactly that. Shifting down into 3rd, up into 4th. Now coming through the tight and twisty S section. It can catch a lot of drivers out here. So we'll see how Harry gets on coming through here. Able to keep it nicely. Doesn't end up going full throttle coming up the hill as well. At the end of Sector 1. Now coming through the first Degner. He is 3 tenths up on his time. Through Degner 2 as well. It's a nice exit out of there. Now coming up to the hairpin. There's a tiny little bit of lock up, but shifts up, short shifts up into 3rd. Making sure that Bullet Boy was just getting out of the way as well, just so it doesn't affect his lap whatsoever. Now Harry coming up to Spoon Curve. Again, one that can catch a lot of drivers out. Has a little bit of a lock-up going into towards the first corner of Spoon, but it doesn't look like it's hampered him at all. Nice exit out of the second part of Spoon. Now coming up to one of the fastest corners in the calendar of 1:30. He is 7/10 up on his time, so where that would put him at the moment is ahead of Dakar. Breaking now into the tight and twisty chicane. Oh, I don't know if that would have made it invalidated, but here we go now, coming down towards the line. Where does Harry go? He goes faster than Montana at 27.4. Good going for the reserve in the McLaren, and in fact Cantera's gone even quicker, only just quicker as well. What a lap from the pair of them. Here we go, Keller now coming across the final corner, makes his way straight into the pits as well, so bit of a strange one, doesn't actually still get a lap done. Doom has only just started his lap, going through the tight and twisty S section in sector 1. Meanwhile, I just see someone else just improve as well. Who was that? I think it was it Neo? I think Neo has just done a better time than what he had originally. Oh no, it's New Waluigi, sorry. Going for the Ferrari up into P5, doing a 28.0. Nicely done to him. But we have got Neo and Doom both trying to set their fastest laps now. Doom actually hasn't set a lap yet, and Neo has done a 28.1, but on the set of the mediums. So you got to think this is looking good for Neo at the end of quali, especially with him on a set of the softs now. Will he be able to best the Spaniard of Cantera, or even get ahead of Montana or even Harry, because they're all split? Montana's actually gone up to P2, only 0.02 of a second shy of Cantera's time as well. So this is going to be a very close quali session. Neo's actually backed out of his lap, but will go on board with the other Spaniard of Doom. Coming down towards the line, he goes into P5, doing a 28.0 as well, only just a few hundredths of a second ahead of the Ferrari of New Waluigi. So not a bad first lap from the Renault. We'll stick on board with Sterling, as him and Killer Blue are the only two that haven't actually set their laps as of yet. We have only got about 5 minutes left of qualifying to go. So if they want to get a lap in, they've got to do it ASAP. Sterling going through Spoon Curve. Touches on the exit of the first one a little bit, so it may just hamper his run. Here we go, Sterling coming through 130R, touches the curb a little bit, nicely done from him. Good exit out of there, now coming up towards the final chicane. Has done a good job of that as well. Now leading up towards the line, sticks it in a hot lap. What does he do? A 28.6. I know Sterling is not going to be happy with that, so he wants to try and get as far ahead as he possibly can. Montana's just said in there, lobby is broken. The lap times are several attempts quicker than me and others did in practice. Right, got ya. Yeah, it is a bit broken. Just don't know how you guys do it. But Doom, is he on another lap at the moment? No, because he's run out of fuel, so he's going to make his way into the pits. Luckily, he is only at the final chicane, so he cuts the entire thing of it. It's not right. You're not kidding. It's broken. Really? Maybe you guys are just... there's a reason why you guys are called aliens. The temps are lower than normal, so maybe that helps, yeah? Because it is cloudy conditions, it is overcast, so as Jerry said, the temps will be lower. Oh, you never know. Killer Blue and Sterling are the only two out on a lap at the moment, but Sterling looks like he's just making his way into the pits. Well, cutting across the final chicane, going into the pits. So Killer, the only one that is out on a lap at the moment. The rest of these guys are on an out lap. God, that was a tongue twister. But here we go, Killer Blue breaking now into the final chicane. What will he do as his time? Coming up to the line now. Where does he end up going? It goes into P7, slots in between New Waluigi and Game Boys. In fact, it's done the exact same time as Game Boys. Wow. I think Game Boys is going to have something to say about that, getting pushed down into 8th with the exact same time. But look how close it is. There's like little gaps of just, there's little groups. You've got Cantera, Montana and Harry, all 1300s a second between each other. Then you've just got Daka just sitting there in 4th. Joom and New Waluigi with about 2700s between each other. Then you've got Killer, Neo and Game Boys, all within 1700s of each other. Bullet Boy and Sterling within less than a tenth of each other. And then Larkin on an outlap. Jarry still sitting in the pits, but I think he's probably going to try and come out pretty quickly. So, yeah, bit of a strange one. So we'll see how these guys end up getting on towards the end of quali. As I said, there's now only 2 minutes left of qualifying to go. These guys that are in the pits may want to get a move on to try and come out of the pits now. Otherwise, they will not be able to get their last laps in. Got Messina in the chat. How's it going, Messina? Nice to see you in here. There we go. Yeah, everyone is out on an out lap. A few guys already doing some of their laps now. Neo is coming along the final corner. Where is he going to end up going? He goes into in fact, that would have been pole, but he did end up invalidating it. Larkin has actually retired from the session, so I don't know where he's ended up putting it. We'll have to keep an eye on Neo's POV because it does say yellow's in sector 1, so it's got to be somewhere up in the S section. We'll see if we can see it from someone's point of view. There it is. He's actually binned it at the final part of the S section. I don't know if it's because he just lost it or if there was another car that was in the way, because it did say there was quite a few cars on an outlap, so keep an eye out in the chat and see what people says. But Neo doesn't look like he's going for another lap, so 9th looks like it's going to be the best for the Racing Point driver. And I know he isn't going to be happy with that. New Waluigi is just starting his lap now. What about Daka? Daka coming across the line. He does improve, but he stays in 4th. And it doesn't look like he's going for another lap, so 4th is the best that the Mercedes driver will be qualifying. See if any of these guys up behind will push them down. Killer Blue in the pits, so 7th is looking like he's the best he's going to do as well. Game Boys out on a lap at the moment. So a lot of these guys are going to have to keep an eye out upon. Montana's just starting his lap now. Who else have we got? Sterling. Sterling's just starting his lap. Jarry is through the second part of the Degner, so Cantera, I think, is going to be the first one to cross the line. And actually opts to go in the pit, so Cantera does not improve on his time. Meanwhile, Montana and Harry both have managed to start their lap at the latest part of the session, so they will be the final 2, maybe even Joom across the line. In fact, Joom will be the final one across the line, but we'll stick on board with New Waluigi as he is coming around 130R. Will he improve? Maybe even beat Daka's time? We will have to wait and see have a little bit of a classic Mercedes versus Ferrari. Bullet Boy has retired, so the best he will do is 8th. Joom is also retired. New Waluigi goes ahead of Joom, but stays behind Daka, doing a 27.7. Neo is also retired as well, so there we go. That's where we're now starting to see these guys retiring from the session. And who else was that? That's just jumped up. That was Jarry. Jarry has gone into P6. Joom is now dropping down the order. Game Boys couldn't improve from Killer Blue, so Game Boys now starting in 9th. Sterling and Montana and Harry. Where are they all going to end up coming? Montana's going to be first one across the line. He does improve, doing a 27.2. Sterling has retired from the session, so it's all up to this man in the McLaren. Will he end up besting Montana and Cantera? No, he doesn't. He opts to go straight into the pits, so Montana, doing a whopping lap of a 27.2, will be starting on pole for Japan, with Cantera lining up on the front row with him, and Harry and Daka just behind him on the second row. New Waluigi in 5th with Jarry in 6th. Joom in 7th with Killer in 8th. Game Boys in 9th with Neo taking the top 10. Not somewhere he'd want to be, but that's just where he is going to have to start, with Bullet Boy and Sterling in the other 2 in that 2 Alfa Romeos in 11th and 12th, with Larkin in 13th, and Cookie will be starting at the back of the grid. But what a time that was from Montana. He's even shocked at that, saying it in the chat. It was quicker than his TT time. So good lap from Montana. And there you go. There's just final classifications. The top 10 all split just under a second. So very good times from all of them. Neo actually didn't even get a time done on a set of the softs. So he will be starting on the mediums in 10th place. So we'll have to wait and see how these guys will end up getting on. But there you guys said, there's classifications for qualifying. Montana in first with Cantera in second, Harry in third, Daka in fourth, New Luigi in fifth with Jerry in sixth, Doom seventh, Killer Blue in eighth, Game Boys in ninth with Neo rounding out the top 10. And the ones starting outside the top 10 are Bullet Boy, Sterling, Larkin and Cookie. But now, as we're just waiting for these guys to do their setups and their race strategies, it looks like it will be a dry race. Jerry did say at the beginning that it should be all dry. So we'll see who ends up coming out on top of this one. It will be tight because I know how close, I know how quick Montana can be. And with him starting on pole, but with Harry and Cantera only just behind him, man. Same with Daka. We'll see how these guys get on. But let's see, what has those guys outside of the top 10 gone for? What tyres? So Sterling is the only one starting on the softs outside the top 10. 10th all the way down to 14th is starting on the mediums. Cookie hasn't actually got himself a setup, so he's having to use a default setup. So that's going to be interesting towards the start of the race. Hopefully he doesn't end up going straight into the back of someone. Now we've just got Montana slowing up the rest of the pack as the rest of these guys are all just sort of falling behind. As now the rest of these guys are all making their way up towards the line. Cookie is all the way back here for some unknown reason. Going very, very slowly on the formation lap. I think the AI has eventually taken over him. So this will be an interesting start. Will Montana get the start that he wants? Will Cantera manage to get the jump on him? Or will someone from behind? Because it is a bit of a long run up towards turn one. We have the 5 red lights. And away they go. Cantera looks like he has managed to get that good start, but Montana looks like he's got an even better start. Harry's actually already up alongside Cantera and already ahead of the Spaniard in the Renault. It looks like it's keeping clean through turn one so far, but it looks like Larkin side by side with Game Boys. Game Boys look like he did not have the good start whatsoever. All the way down into 13th. Larkin now up into 12th. A little bit of back and forth going through in the S section between the two Alfa Romeos, but Bullet Boy looking like he's going to stay up ahead of his teammate in the Alfa Romeo. So Bullet Boy, in fact Sterling's up into 10th. Sorry, Bullet Boy now into 11th. Daka didn't look like he had a good start either, and he's all the way down into 6th place already. But Montana is the one that still continues to lead. Harry only just behind the Williams of Montana, and is keeping right up behind him. So we'll have to wait and see who's going to come out on top with that. Cookie and Game Boys both going side by side in towards the hairpin, and Game Boys in the Haas has managed to come out on top of these guys. But Game Boys on those set of softs is going to be quicker than these guys that are around him, but it won't be for too long that it'll be quicker. So be interesting to see how he gets on down towards the back end of the grid. Sterling all over the back of Neo. In fact, that was actually behind. Larkin looking to see if he can go around the outside of Bullet Boy in a 130 yard. Doesn't manage to. Has to stay back for now. But Game Boy's looking to see if he can go down the inside of the Racing Point. Not able to do so. Cookie has managed to go around the outside of the Haas. And Cookie now into 13th place on a default setup. That's a very good. He is absolutely trying to charge this down. Meanwhile, Harry trying to see if he can get ahead of Montana in the race lead. He doesn't manage to. Has a little bit of has a bit of a moment. Cantera now trying to see if he can take advantage of Harry having that moment. Not able to do so. Is having to stay down in P3. But New Waluigi is now all over the back of the Spaniard in the Renault as well. So will New Waluigi be able to get a move done maybe on the other Renault? Meanwhile, Doom, his teammate, is only just behind the Ferrari, which is stopping these two from maybe trying to get a little bit of slipstream to each other. And you've also got the two Mercedes just plopped in behind the other Renault as well. Oh, speaking of that as well, Daka has a little bit of a moment coming out of the second Degner. Doesn't look like it's hampered him that much to maybe even hampered him at all, because he is still in 6th place. May have hurt his tyres just a little bit. But we do have Killer Blue starting to close up to the back of Jarry. And usually on the first lap there's always like a little bit of a big gap that's happened, or that would have formed. At the moment, this isn't the case, as they're all still within a second of each other. But Bullet Boy all over the back of his teammate Sterling. Sterling may have had a little bit of a moment, which is why Bullet Boy is all over the back of his teammate. Meanwhile, Neo all over the back of Killer Blue as well. This is for P8. And Bullet Boy didn't actually manage to get a move done on Sterling either. And Neo still all over the back of Killer Blue. But Harry has the one that has set the fastest lap and is closing up towards the back of Montana. Montana goes defensive in towards turn 1. Will Harry go for a move in towards turn 2? Montana has a slide. And Harry now into the lead of the race. Montana has that moment. Harry takes well advantage of that and takes first position. So good going for the man in the McLaren. And trying to close up his championship hopes. I mean, Montana is leading this championship by a country mile. But Harry looking to see if he can try and close up any sort of points will be handy for him. Doom goes a little bit wide coming out of the first Degner and coming out of the second Degner, which is allowing Daka to close up to the back of him. Doesn't look to go for a move in towards the hairpin. Meanwhile, Neo is also all over the back of Killer Blue. But when I was talking about that gap dropping, Sterling has already dropped outside of that DRS time to Neo, who's up ahead of him as well. And Bullet Boy is sticking right behind his teammate. As soon as it comes down towards the final corner, you best know that he will have that DRS. Neo going side by side with Killer Blue, coming in towards 130R. I think Neo has got the advantage, straight line speed, and that is him up into P8 on the set of the mediums as well. So he's doing very good at the moment with these set of mediums. But Killer Blue looking like he's not done. Wants to try and go down the inside of the chicane, but not able to do so. Neo closes that off and stays up in P8. Harry now has set the fastest lap of the race, but it is going to be an absolute DRS train going up in towards turn 1. Will anyone look to see if they can go for a move up in towards turn 1? Maybe. Neo Waluigi was very close to the back of Cantera, but maybe we'll get a move done. Meanwhile, Jarry just holding on from Neo. Although Neo looks like he's had a bit of a moment, because he was only just about 5 tenths behind the man in the Mercedes. So whatever happened to Neo there, honestly not too sure. But Bullet Boy is still behind his teammate in the Alfa Romeo. I think because he's on a harder compound than his teammate is, he's just having to stay behind him at the moment. There's yellows in sector 1. Who is that? I'm going towards the back of the grid to see who it is. Is it Cookie? It is Cookie. Cookie is round. Did not manage to do well going up the hill. Must have touched the outside curb and has ended up spinning it. So unfortunate for Cookie in the Ferrari. But this battle for the lead is still cracking on. There's only 3 tenths separating Harry and Montana. Will Montana opt to go for a move down at almost 130R? I don't think he is close enough, although he is closing that gap immensely. He's only now 2 tenths behind the man in the McLaren. Will he opt to go for a move down in towards the chicane? Harry doesn't cover it off, but doesn't need to, as Montana did just keep calm and composed. And Harry picks himself up a 3-second time penalty already on the 4th lap. So Montana is technically leading this race at the moment, and with that DRS, he is going to be closing up to him mentally. Here we go, in towards turn 1. Harry covers off the inside. Montana looking to go around the outside of turn 1. Both side by side, going in towards turn 2 now. Harry manages to keep the better of him, but Montana looks if he can go for a switchback, going in towards turn 3. Not able to do so. Harry holds the race lead at the moment, and all of this is allowing Cantera to see if he can close up to the back of these guys. He is starting to drop back a little bit, and allowing New Waluigi to see if he can go get a move done on in the Spaniard in the Renault. Funny enough, both Spaniards are in the Renault, so probably not best I say the Spaniard in the Renault. It's both of them. But Neo is dropped back quite a bit from Jarry now. June picks himself up a 3-second time penalty. So we'll have to keep an eye on Neo. I think Cookie has spun it again into the pits. He goes. And maybe looking to put the hards on to see if he can go for a charge. Bit of an undercut strategy, but Montana still all over the back of Harry. Harry does not look like he is enjoying this one bit, and Montana is looking for the perfect moment to overtake Harry. Will it be down towards 130R? He is gaining on him. Look to see if he can go around the outside, but not able to do so. Harry covering the inside of the chicane. Montana, will he look to go around the outside of the chicane? Not able to do so. Harry does well to cover that off, and Cantera is all over the back of Montana now as well, but oh, Montana has a tiny little bit of a slide, not able to get anything done. Has caused his run a little bit, but doesn't look like it's stopped in that much as Harry covers off the inside of turn 1. Montana looks to go for a switchback down towards turn 1. Not able to do so. Cantera still all over the back of him. New Waluigi runs a little bit wide coming out of turn 2. And June manages to stay ahead of the 2 Mercedes, as Phil Dakar was looking like he was putting a bit of pressure on him as well. So this DRS train all for the lead of the race, and this is looking like this will be a very good race leading up to it. Cookie has got himself a 10-second penalty for exceeding track limits. I think he was just trying to get out of the way of everyone, already being lapped on lap 6. So not something that Cookie would have wanted to happen at all. But these guys are all still very close to each other. This is just looking like it's going to be one big DRS train just for the lead of the race. The top 2 looking like they're starting to pull out a bit of a gap now to third. Montana all over the back of Harry, going towards Spoon Curve, but definitely not one of the best places to overtake, I can tell you that for sure. But now leading up in towards 130R, you do know that Montana has the straight line speed. You can see it in the helicopter shot. Montana looking to see if he can go around the outside of Harry in towards 130R. They're both still side by side, a little bit of a touch, but Montana keeps the inside of the chicane. It's still side by side. Harry has a little bit of a lock up, but that is Montana gets squeezed off the track a little bit. Harry still holds it around the outside, coming in towards the final corner. Montana doesn't even have the DRS. Harry is the one with the DRS, but wait, in fact, both of them don't have DRS. Killer Poo has ended up retiring from the session. I don't know what has happened to him. Oh, a little bit of lag, and Montana, luckily that there was a bit of lag, otherwise he would have gone straight into the back of Harry. But oh my god, this race in between the pair of them up the front. Harry has done so well to keep that lead of the race. Montana trying his best to see if he can get past the McLaren. But I don't know what happened to Killer Blue. It says in Sector 3, I think that might have been leading towards down the hill. Cookie has also retired from the session, so there are only 12 runners left in this session. So all these guys will get points by, as long as they manage to complete 90% of the race. Here we go, Montana, as I said, that straight line speed is helping them out massively coming through Sector 2 and Sector 3. And it will show here coming towards 130R that Montana does make a little bit of a mistake, giving Harry a bit of an edge just to ease him up a little bit for that gap. As Cantera looks like he's starting to close in now to the Williams. But will Cantera opt to go for a move, going in towards the chicane? He doesn't. He does stay behind at the moment. And oh my god, this is so close just for this lead of the race. As I said, this is a massive DRS train as Cantera actually opts to pit. Same with New Waluigi. So they're looking to see if they can go for an undercut. But Cantera gets himself a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Not something that he would have wanted. And that's going to help. It's going to hurt him massively in the later stages of this race. But Montana does end up sticking behind Harry, despite him having a DRS. And Neo is actually up into 5th on the set of the mediums, so Neo is doing very well for where he is on that set of tyres. Bullet Boy is up into 7th. I know a lot of these guys have already started to go for their pit stops as well, but him and Larkin, 7th and 8th on the set of the mediums, but as I said, Neo in 5th, and all over the back of Jarry now as well. So Jarry being pressured from the Racing Point, who actually did end up winning last week's race in Canada. Will Neo opt to go for a move in towards Spoon Curve? I don't think he is close enough to get a move done on the Mercedes, but maybe going in towards 130R, it may be a different story now. In fact, Neo got a very good exit out of the Spoon Curve. Jarry didn't look like he got that good of an exit. Neo now closing up to the back. The slipstream is helping him. Will they go side by side in towards 130R? Neo is thinking about it, not able to do so, but going towards the chicane. Neo looking to go around it outside of Jarry for the first part of the chicane. Jarry covers it off, brakes later, and keeps that P4. Harry actually opts to go into the pit. Same with Montana, same with Dakar. So Jarry will now be your race leader, but it doesn't look like it'll be for long as Neo is going side by side with Jarry in towards turn 1. Neo to see if he can go down the inside of Jarry. Will he be able to keep that move stuck? Oh, a little bit of contact. Jarry's just been forced out wide, and Neo now into the race lead. Unfortunate for Jarry because he was doing well just keeping Neo behind him for most of the time. But where has the rest of these guys come out? Joom has actually jumped the guys up ahead of him. He's actually even jumped his teammate. Harry has managed to do well, sticking up where he is. And Montana's actually lost out quite a few places. Montana is technically your net 6th place. So what's happened to Montana through that pit stages? I don't know if he just got held up because a lot of these guys maybe are ahead of him in the pit stops or what, but Montana now down in 11th. As I said, your net P6, Harry, has had an absolute blessing, and same with June. That undercut for the Spaniard has worked wonders, as he is now your net 2nd place. But Harry and June have got penalties already. I don't think any of these guys behind have, other than Cantera. Cantera's actually got himself a 5-second stop go as well. So your net race leader at the moment is New Waluigi. And what a result it will be for the man in the Ferrari if he does end up sticking behind the 2 Renaults. But these two will keep on giving each other slipstreams. So we'll see how they opt to get on. As Bullet Boy has set himself the fastest lap of the race. Online lap odds, medium tyres, so good going from him. Joom looking to see if he can go down the inside of Harry. Has a little bit of contact, locks up massively. I don't think it's affected him that much. Just a little bit of wear on his tyres, which he doesn't need. Cantera now all over the back of Joom. Joom covers the inside of going up towards turn 1, but I think Joom was more just letting Cantera pass. DRS open, gets the move done. Joom now down into a net 3rd. Cantera now pass and looking to see if he can challenge Harry. As Harry does make a bit of a mistake, Cantera manages to hold a bit of a tight line in turn 4 of the S section. And in fact, Dakar is actually keeping Montana at bay. I know this was happening last week in Canada, but will Dakar actually manage to maintain it this time? As a 6-way battle for the lead, the net lead of the race. Barring these guys still haven't actually had to make a pit stop yet. Montana looking to see if he can go down the inside of Dakar in the hairpin. Not able to do so. Dakar will get a better exit coming out of that hairpin though. But Montana's straight line speed is absolutely insane on around Japan. So it doesn't look like he'll be able to get a move done either. And is just having to stay down in P11 for now. Bullet Boy is all over the back of Jarry. Jarry, you got to think, is making a pit stop soon. And as I say that, he does make his way into the pit. So Neo and Bullet Boy are 1st and 2nd. when they're both qualifying in at 10th and 12th. But as I said, they haven't made their pit stops yet. But where will Jarry come out? As Gameboys has also made his way into the pit stops. There's that train. Where's Jarry going to be in all of this? There they all go. Jarry is going to be at the back of the train and is going to be behind Montana. Oh, Harry spun! Our race leader has actually spun in towards turn 1. Oh, he's gone from having a really good race to now an absolute nightmare. New Waluigi is now technically your race leader, as these guys have not made penalties. But New Waluigi and Drew going side by side, going through the S section. What quality driving! New Waluigi going around the outside, going up the hill. What a move from the man in the Ferrari, and now is going to look to chase down Cantera for that net. Well, he's in the net race lead as Dakar has picked himself up a 3-second time penalty. Montana looking to see if he can go around the outside of Dakar, around the hairpin. Not able to do so. Montana will get that better exit though. And will we see a move going into Spoon Curve? Doesn't look like we will. But Dakar is all up the back of Joom. Joom is just dropping places like flies dropping. I don't know what I was trying to say there, to be honest with you. But Larkin picks himself up a 3-second time penalty. He is in third at the moment. Those guys that haven't made their pit stops on the mediums would pray for a safety car to be coming out. But this train for first place. New Waluigi hasn't actually got himself DRS, whereas Joom does. Montana looking to see if he can go down the inside of Dakar. Not exactly getting a good view of this, but keeping it from Dakar's front right. Dakar's just had to give up the place, and Montana is now up into P7, aka a net, what's that, third? Net fourth, sorry, but with these penalties, he is technically in net second. The only one that hasn't got penalties up ahead of him is New Waluigi, who is in fifth and looking to chase down Cantera, who's almost within that second gap as well. But I don't think Dakar is wanting to give up with this battle with Montana. Joom just still following the back of New Waluigi. He's ever so close to getting a move done on the Ferrari driver. But with New Waluigi getting that move done on the last lap, Joom running into the grass a little bit isn't going to help. New Waluigi gets a very good exit coming out of the second part of the Spoon Curve. Leading up in towards 130R. Joom is actually gaining on the Ferrari driver quite quickly, so Joom's straight line speed is looking very good. Will we go for a move in towards the chicane? He puts it down to 0 ARS and does not opt to go for a move on the Ferrari. He does want to keep that DRS because New Waluigi doesn't actually have himself DRS. All of these guys behind him will. So Joom with DRS open, now looking to see if he can go past New Waluigi going towards turn 1. Looks to go down the inside of the Ferrari. Now by side, and I think Joom, that is move done for the Renault driver. Good going for Joom, getting past New Waluigi. But as I said, these guys in the Renaults do have penalties of their own, so they want to try and get as far ahead as possible. And with these two now being 1-2 at the moment, Joom is just going to try and hold up these guys to allow Cantera to go miles ahead of them. So we'll see if Joom manages to do that well, and if Cantera does end up winning this race, it will be job done for the Renaults. But Montana now looking to see if he can go around down the inside of New Waluigi in towards the hairpin. Joom has actually spun, hit Montana. Montana's got wing damage. New Waluigi has just been affected by that as well. Dakar now all over the back of the Ferrari of New Waluigi. And I think Dakar's actually got himself wing damage as well from that. Yeah, Dakar's got wing damage. So I think the only one that doesn't is New Waluigi. But with him having that, having to stop, yeah, Montana's got that wing damage at the front right. Dakar's got wing damage at the front right. New Waluigi is looking to see if he can just stick within those 5 seconds of Cantera. Here we go. New Waluigi looking to see if he can go around the outside of Montana. Not able to do so. He's just going to have to stick behind the Williams at the moment. He does end up pitting. Did Dakar pit? No, Dakar actually stayed out, but New Waluigi got the DRS from Montana. New Waluigi is now 4 seconds behind Cantera. Wow. I can't believe that happened with Doom. Someone else was dropping down as well. Is that Jarry? He's got himself wing damage, and Sterling has now passed him, so I think that was Jarry. But both Montana and Doom have made their way into the pit. I can see Montana in the chat is not happy whatsoever. But Daka with that wing damage as well is trying to hold on for dear life behind his teammate. But Sterling now actually up into a net third, providing, well, these guys obviously up ahead, not making their pit stops as of yet. We'll have to see where these guys opt to come out. As Bullet Boy picks up a 5-second penalty. Bit of an odd one. As Neo makes his way into the pits. So Neo, what the first medium runner to make his way into the pits. Where will he end up coming out? He may go for a set of the softs. We'll have to keep an eye out on it. He does go on a set of the softs. So where will Neo come out in relation to all of these guys? Cantera is now coming across the final corner. Where is Neo? He's just coming out of the pit lane, but Cantera is your net race leader. Where's Neo going to come out in relation to New Waluigi? There is New Waluigi in the background. Neo's actually come out ahead of the Ferrari driver, so Neo is your net race leader. Starting from P10, has done absolute wonders. Jarry's got himself a penalty as well. As Harry and Daka going side by side. Harry hasn't got any wing damage, whereas Daka behind him does. Harry's just now looking to see if he can make some places back up from that first corner incident. But now back up to this battle for the net race lead. Because of Cantera having that 5-second stop-go penalty, Neo is the one that is technically in the lead of the race. New Waluigi is your second place at the moment, with Sterling actually in third. But now the gaps have started to spread out a bit. Montana is all the way down in 10th, 18 seconds behind Game Boys because of that incident that had happened with Doom. And as I said, I know Montana is definitely not happy with that whatsoever. And Harry's already pulled out that second gap from the Mercedes of Daka, so you can see that is really starting to hamper Daka majorly. You've got to think that Daka may have to make a pit stop soon if he wants any chance of still having a decent points finish. But this battle for 11th place, it is this battle for the final points with Doom and Jarry. As Montana actually sets the fastest lap of the race. So he will, if it stays where he is at the moment, he will end up finishing with, what's that, 4 points? But Bullet Boy and Larkin still have yet to make their pit stops. And you've got to think that they've got to make their pit maybe this lap or even next lap. Doom is still just staying behind Jarry at the moment. Messina giving a bit of a pep talk to Montana, just telling him to keep on concentrating on the race. Doom looked to go for a lunge down the inside of the hairpin on Jarry, but luckily had only just managed to break in time to the point where he didn't end up going straight into the back of the Mercedes driver. But now Doom pressuring Jarry all massively. Neo picks himself up the fastest lap of the race. Bullet Boy and Larkin make their way into the pits. Where will they come out in relation to all of these other guys just behind Larkin? Where is he just coming out of the pits now? With Bullet Boy, Larkin is down in 9th place and is actually ahead of Montana as well. And Bullet Boy's actually come out in 6th place, so good job from Bullet Boy. Montana's actually crossed the line doing yet another fastest lap, so Montana just putting laps on the board, showing how quick he actually is. Doom going down the inside of Jarry towards turn 1. I think Jarry's just had to concede the place as Doom is on the softer set of tyres, and that is Doom now up into 11th. Jarry is in the final points position. And you got to think Game Boys as well, all over the back of Dakar, both the QVR boys. And with Dakar with that wing damage, Game Boys isn't going to be happy and wants to try and get past Dakar ASAP if he wants any chance of also having a decent points finish. Because only just up the road is Bullet Boy and Harry. Bullet Boy on the set of the softs as well, so he's looking to see if he can have a good points finish as well. Neo's in second on a set of the softs, with Cantera still actually in first. But is closing up that gap massively. Game Boys now going down the inside of Dakar, leading up in towards 130R. I think Dakar's just had to concede the place, and that is Game Boys up into P7. And meanwhile, up ahead, we have got Harry and Bullet Boy going side by side. Bullet Boy's actually got himself damage. I don't know what happened with him and Harry. I think Bullet Boy may have gone into the back of Harry. So Bullet Boy's having to make yet another pit stop, and that was going so well for Bullet Boy. But oh, he's had to make yet another pit stop. So it's gone from a good race to a bad race. Game Boys is actually out of the race, where he ended up retiring. I think that he was just in front of Dakar. So he must have slid going in through the S section. We'll stick on board momentarily to see if he can see whereabouts that was. But Larkin is now all over the back of Dakar. It was in the S section. But here we go, Larkin all over the back of the Mercedes driver. We'll go for a move down and towards the hairpin. No, he does not. Dakar does leave him the room. Bullet Boy has retired from the race as well. But Larkin now side by side with Dakar. Going through, just going up after the hairpin. They're both, oh, they're going to go too wide into the spoon, aren't they? No, Dakar thinks better of it. Larkin on the softer set of the tyres, gets the brake later, says see you later, and that is him up into P6. Good going from the man in the Racing Point, and now looking to see if he can chase down Harry for that P5. But Neo is now within that DRS range of Cantera. Neo also sets the fastest lap of the race. Will go on board with the man in the Racing Point as well. Will he be able to go for a move down towards turn 1 on the Renault? No, he does not. Just opts to stay behind him for now. Although Cantera goes a little bit wide coming through turn 2, which compromises run a little bit. Neo now just sticking behind the Renault of Cantera. And Cantera makes a bit of a mistake going a bit too deep in towards one of the right-hander of the S section. And Neo is just staying all up the back of Cantera, who's just up ahead of him. So will Neo go for a pass on Cantera, maybe going up towards Spoon Curve? Or will it even be towards the hairpin? Doesn't opt to, so it looks like maybe it was Spoon Curve. We'll see what happens on the lead up towards there. Harry is still also within DRS of Sterling, so we'll have to keep an eye on that battle as well. But Neo is still just sticking behind Cantera at the moment. Will he opt to go for a move in towards 130R though? As I said, just keeping an eye on Neo. He's made that charge from P10. Now looking to see if he can go around the outside. He does. Cantera just gives it up and just says, just have that place. But I think Cantera wanted that just so he can have DRS for the lead up towards turn 1. There we go. Neo covers the inside of it. Cantera with that DRS wide open. Harry picks himself up a 3-second time penalty. Neo covering the inside of the lead up towards turn 1. And that is Neo solidified for first position. Unless he ends up bottling it. We have got 7 laps of the race left to go. Meanwhile, Harry and Sterling go side by side. Sterling smacks Harry in towards turn 2. That's hampered it massively. Harry has picked himself up wing damage. And Sterling gets himself a 5-second penalty for that collision with Harry. Harry has just stopped on the track. And I think it's just said he's not happy whatsoever. So Harry, as I said, that is bad driving from Sterling, and has actually retired on track. Doom luckily didn't hit the back of Harry, and the Sterling, as I said, gets himself that 5-second grid penalty. So that actually promotes Larkin Oh, he's not in the podium yet, is he? Because he's still got about 9 seconds to try and catch up to New Waluigi. But Sterling goes wide. I think just gives Larkin a place, and that's Larkin now up into P4. So these guys that had actually started at the back are doing wonders, moving their way up. Neo started in 10th, now in 1st. Larkin, who started at the back with Cookie, is now up into 4th. And Sterling, who started down in 11th, is now up into 5th. But Cantera's almost been lost out of that DRS. He has got the DRS to Neo only just. But with Sterling still in that DRS of Larkin, will he opt to maybe try and go for a move in towards turn 1? We'll have to wait and see. DRS is now wide open for the man in the Alfa Romeo. Will he go for a move? He's a bit too far back, doesn't go for a move, and stays down in 5th position. There's now only 9 runners that are left in the session. Six laps left to go as well. And this looks like this will be your closest battle on track. If you guys are just joining us, as you can see, Daka has actually ended up getting himself a time penalty. But Neo is the one without penalties at the moment, the same with New Waluigi. He's so close to losing out that 5-second gap to Cantera, as Cantera did pick himself up a 5-second stop-go penalty from speeding in the pit lane. So New Waluigi is 7/10 away from losing out that gap to Cantera and finishing in 2nd in the Japanese Grand Prix. Harry just saying in the chat, did you see that? I managed to catch a glimpse of it. I did see it from your point of view that Sterling did hit you, and the both of you going wide. And speaking of Sterling, he's actually Larkin's managed to get that 1-second gap already out from Sterling, so Sterling no longer has the DRS to the Racing Point driver now. Harry, aka Larkin, looking to see if he can make that charge to the top 3. There is only 5 laps left to go, so it's going to be a bit of a mission. So we'll have to wait and see. Harry saying in the chat that he is fuming and just asking what's happened with Cantera. My view, he turned in on me. What happened with Cantera? What happened with him was that he ended up, he got a 5-second stop go for speeding in the pit. New Waluigi is so close to losing out on that time for that, and could very well be having to just stick with P3. He's only 2 attempts out of that. Cantera's already lost 2 seconds to Neo. Yeah, I saw it. I did see it. Oh, the spin was that. Oh, that was with Cantera. Right, okay, gotcha. Yeah, no worries, I did see that. Yeah. Well, I didn't see that part. All I just saw was you just spinning along the gravel, so that's what confused me with that. 4 laps left to go now of the Japanese Grand Prix for D1. And this man on your screen right now has been absolutely, well, I say dominant, but a lot of these guys behind have not been able to keep it clean. Some may have been their fault, some may not have been their fault, but it is this man who has managed to get past the grid and has been doing absolute bits and staying up ahead as well. So good going from Neo. As I said, 4 laps left to go, and he might just get back-to-back wins this season as well. A good return to LOE and all. But New Waluigi is sort of maintaining that gap to Cantera. If there's one fault, then that's him basically solidified for P3, maybe even P4 if he ends up dropping back quite a bit. But Larkin's already pulled out that 2-second gap to Sterling in P5. Daka in P6 is 5 seconds behind him, with Montana. He's actually closed the gap up massively to the Mercedes. He was 18 seconds behind. He's now only 3 seconds in a matter of 9 laps. Harry just saying he turned in on me. He turned in on me in my point of view, but I don't know what you saw. Yeah, as I said, I only just saw the part where you was just spinning. Bullet Boy saying, what is so frustrating is I'll be right with Neo. I got a 5-second stop go for getting one more in, then brake checked. My pace was looking so good and I just can't be bothered anymore. I mean, it's racing. That's what happens just during racing. Stuff like that happens. There's nothing you could do to avoid it. I said it is just unfortunate. Just put a quick message to the guys in the D2 chat. Montana has managed to set that fastest lap and is now already within DRS of Daka. Has managed to close that 3-second gap up in the space of 2 laps. And you've got to think Daka is an absolute sitting duck to Montana, who is absolutely on the charge behind him. But here we go, Montana seeing if he can go around the outside of Daka for the inside of the S section. Going up the hill, not able to do so. Daka just holding that P6 for now, looking to go a bit defensive on the outside of the first and second Degner. Daka's just holding on to it for now, but I think Montana's going to want to try and go for him up in the hairpin. Right, sorry about that, everyone. I did manage to catch the Montana and Daka. Well, Montana managing to get past him, so good going from Montana. Is now 1.5 seconds already made up from Daka. So a good job from Montana. I don't think he is close enough to Sterling though, but Sterling does have that 5-second penalty, so will Montana be able to close up enough to be able to take that P5 from Sterling and still get a decent points result after what had happened with that incident with June? But now the final lap. I think because, yeah, Neo's just kept it absolutely clean, absolutely spot on, hasn't made any mistakes. He's done very well to stay in that position to the point where he's now leading the race and looks like he will be taking his second win of the LOE season. Meanwhile, New Waluigi has dropped back out of that 5-second gap from Cantera, unless Cantera picks up a penalty in this last lap. It's looking like this is what the order is going to be. But Montana is getting that gap down. It's now 5.2. Will he be able to get past Sterling on the penalties? It's now down to 5.1. 5.0. He is within that 5-second gap, so Montana is now technically in P5, but this man on your screen now coming along the final chicane. He's kept it spot on throughout the entire race. Neo wins the Japanese Grand Prix for Division 1 with Cantera coming home to finish in P2. In fact, it's another 5-second time penalty that he had unserved, so does that mean New Waluigi will take second? Yes, it does, only by 1 second. Well done from the Ferrari of New Waluigi. Larkin does come home to take P4. A great result for both of the racing points. And Sterling picks up 5th, but not for long, as Montana does come home to finish in P5 with Sterling picking up 6th. Dakar finishes in 7th with June finishing in 8th. And your final point scorer is Jarry, who finishes down in P9 and absolutely smacks the wall. So good going. Good racing, a few incidents here and there, but as I think Mark said it in the chat, just take it to the stewards. It is difficult to judge it without the 2 point of views, but looking at it from my point of view, it was a bit shifty, put it that way. But this man on your screen, as I said, kept it clean, kept it perfect throughout. Congratulations to Neo for winning the Japanese Grand Prix. So there you have it. That is the final standings for the race. Oh, well, as it stands at the moment anyway. Stewards could probably play into a part of it. So we'll have to wait and see. But Neo, all the way from 10th on the grid, definitely my driver of the day, manages to win in Japan with New Waluigi finishing in P2. Good result for the Belgiumese man. I don't know why I said Belgiumese because that's not right. Cantera, the first Spaniard in rounding out the final place of the podium. I can't speak for some reason. Larkin finishing in P4. Good result for him in the Racing Point. As I said, both Racing Points had a very good race, with Montana finishing in 5th, Sterling in 6th, Dakar in 7th, June in 8th, Jarry in 9th, actually our final finisher, and our non-finishers were Harry, Bullet Boy, Game Boys, Killer Blue, and Cookie. So what a race. And as Messina called it, yes, Neo did end up winning the race, so good job from Neo. But that is it for Division 1. I have been J. Cole. As I said, you will have James next race, so well, hopefully as long as his tonsils are all better and as long as he doesn't stop as long as he stops having the man flu. Thank you guys for watching, and we will catch you next week for the race in Austria.